All right, before we start today and getting into the nitty gritty of what we talked about last night and at like 11 o'clock where I was really tired and sleepy, I want to share a little story today. Hey, because I got to go on the boardwalk for Kima and I experienced something just crazy. So I'm walking on the boardwalk for Kima and I see in the distance a couple and they have a leash and I'm like, pet. But it wasn't a dog, it was a cat. And I was like, okay, really weird that there's a cat on a leash, but I can deal. But then I got closer and lo and behold, I see one of these, a Serval. And literally like 2 days ago, I saw a Serval in the capital of Texas Zoo in Austin, Texas, in one of its cage, and it's a unique. I don't know if it's endangered or not. You're gonna have to fact check me on that, but it is threatened. So just to see this guy have a actual Serval as a pet, I talked to him about it, and he actually has it as a pet. And in the United States, you can only have Servals in like I think 21 states. 20 of the states won't even allow Servals, so he couldn't even go and take him to those different states. And the picture is actually a picture I took as well. So that's the Serval I saw. So I just want to share that with y'all because it really shows just how being open to experience of just walking on the boardwalk or walking somewhere with no destination and plan, just to explore an area, you can find some of the most unique and interesting and different small encounters as well. So cute little thing I wanted to show before we get into it. Hopefully I don't talk for 36 minutes. The topic today is not going to be about the selves that I was talking about. It's going to be a little bit more about our interconnectivity between each other, but also more about free will and determinism. And I've been listening a lot of different. Well, today and yesterday I've been listening to Stephen C. Meyer on the Joe Rogan show, and the section I'm listening to right now is talking about just free will and how people have free will, but there's also some determinism in it. And I'm thinking in my mind, I believe not that we only have free will or we only have determinism, but they're happening at the exact same time and they're continuously in flux between each other. And that one reason for this is that we always have free will, but we always are being acted upon by some kind of force. So I've been kind of formulating with a theory to kind of explain this and show this. And I want to call it something like the inner world theory. So just imagine, for example, it's yourself, right? You are seeing the world through your own perspectives, and it's honestly your world that you're experiencing yourself. So just imagine yourself, and there's a big old circle of your experience around you, and that is your world, right? You can do anything in this world. You can move your hands, you can shake your head, and scream at the scream. I'm not gonna scream. Don't you worry. I am going to do this. Just random stuff like that. So you are able to control all this kind of world that yourself. And it goes back to Albert Camus and his talk about Sisyphus and how Sisyphus lives in his world. And through this world and his perception of the world, he has to imagine himself as happy. I think he was talking more about joyful and have an attitude of joy and appreciation and for the life life and his free will within that life. But besides the point, I am talking about how you're the agent of your own world. Now, many people would think, okay, with that argument, and you have full free will, but there's determinism in it. And yes, there is. Because the point in this is you have control of your own world. You have free will to do whatever you want. But here's the catch. I can too. Because I live in my own world. And I can do whatever I want in this world, all within the capabilities of my biological self. The county clerk can too. The constable can. And every other person can. So what they do is they make the world how they see it. So let's take a marketer, for example. They live in their own world, and they want to sell the consumer something. So they make advertisements to convince you to buy something. And that is their world reaching into yours, trying to influence how you act in the world as well. So it's almost like multiple worlds are being commingled together and meshed together, and really you can only understand and your world if you are absolutely alone. And that's kind of where meditation comes in, is when you realize you can expand your world to not just as what's in yourself as your ego, but also everything around you, right? So a big part of meditation is sitting there and realizing that the thoughts that are going through your mind are also similar to all the noise that is going through your mind, and you don't have to place a name or anything, and it's just life itself that is happening around you, and that's your world that's being going on around. That's what you're experiencing, and you're pulling from last video of your controlling self. If you're able to control all through your conscious mind and what is happening within in that world as well. So, like for example, I can go. I have no idea what I just did there. Now, I'm thinking in a counter argument and be from what I just did. It is that there's some unconscious influences that have made me do that and have influenced my life up to this point to invoke action that is what I just did as well. So, which I don't necessarily believe as well, because there's many actions that we do that our prior selves are unconscious gathers information, and our biological selves also wants us not to do, but we do them anyways. So one example is cold showers, right? I take cold showers every single morning, and I will tell you, every time I step up in front of the cold shower before I get in, there's the biological self there's the unconscious self that is rambling on and on and on and on of, this is a bad idea, why are you doing this, is the fear is setting in, and not even fear, just this is why you're going to put yourself on uncomfortable situations, why blah 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 blah, and I honestly also have an unconscious desire of just not wanting to get in. It's like who the hell wants to go into the cold shower? Like, you could change your mind. You can change your attitude for wanting to be in the cold shower. All right, I think that would help tremendously. But at least for me, I haven't and had a point where I can consistently just be like, okay, I'm going in the cold shower, especially in the morning, and more or after the sauna. I found that I can just kind of just walk in just because my body's like, I need to cool down. But that's like your biological one and your unconscious self talking. And so same thing in the morning with your or I want to say more unconscious self. I don't know. Like I said last video, I don't know much about the biological sphere of us as creatures to really talk about that point as much, but definitely your unconscious self and your monkey mind just spouting out all the reasons why you shouldn't do that, and the unconscious like urge not to go into something uncomfortable. Yet I do it every morning. I get to a point where I just say 3, 2, 1, go. And for me, that's that free will talking. That's my free will and my autonomy within my own world to be able to control all how I act within it. And at that moment, it's me saying, I'm going in. Not saying, but actually doing it. Putting the action into it and going into the shower every morning. I'm thinking of ways that Sam Harris would refute that, and it probably would be the extent to my knowledge right now, and experience, and what I know would be something like there's already a predetermined predetermined goal to get into the shower already, which I don't see that really being a good argument, because as we all have goals, and just because we have those goals doesn't mean we actually succeed in those goals. It's usually us building the habits to the goals to the point that it's ingrained into our unconscious, so that we are habitually doing it after a while. So, for example, what are some of mine? It was I've grown a habit of journaling and stargazing right before I go to bed, and I've done it so many times that it almost feels weird and awkward to do anything else besides go journal and stargaze, to the point that I'm like I probably say no. My instinct and unconscious would say no to people if I wouldn't be able to, saying no to people to go out to dinner. Well, not dinner, go to like the bar or something like that. And if my unconscious self knew that I wouldn't be coming back to journal and stargaze, and my initial instinct would probably be, no, I don't want to do it. And then I'd be like, oh, it probably is just a continuous habitual actions of me journaling and stargazing all the time. I would say it's the same with meditation, but I'm breaking that habit a little bit more. Breaking my habit to create new habit. I'm trying to eat first thing in the morning, do some protein. Well, we won't get into that, but the journal and stargazing, definitely. And then also lunch, reading an article during lunch. I do that habitually almost every single day. And actually today I didn't do it because as I was in a different scenery as well. But if I was as going into work arc and in my normal routine, then I'd habitually want to do the reading of the article, and it'd feel weird or not doing that. So, for example, there was one time, I think, yeah, last Thursday, where I had to go get a license plates for my car, and I decided to do it at lunch, and I had like a little like, I don't want to say disgust, but just like uneasiness of thinking, oh man, I'm not gonna get back and do my article. Like I do my article every lunch during my work and while I'm doing my work week. Like that, I can't do that. What the heck? So going back, I just and that's one other way we can influence our unconsciousness as well, and why I do believe if we do have some free will, because we have ways of manipulating our own unconscious mind. Like if we weren't able to influence our unconscious mind, and if only our unconscious mind is influencing us, then there'd be no way we'd be able to influence. I think that might be a faulty argument. I don't know, but same thing. And to think that we all have free will all the time, but we're always being determined by outside forces. Just because everyone does have free will, and life also has free will to do whatever it wants to us as well. So it's almost like we're playing God, but we're also being affected by God. So we're in this weird swoosh and swang of just being God and not being God, and understanding that everyone else has the potential to be God of their universes as well. And that actually gets to the basis for empathy and compassion, is knowing that, hey, look, I can do whatever I want, but other people can too. And other people have the same subjective experiences that I'm having as well. I'm not so sure about that argument, and I want to kind of formulate it a little bit. I kind of got it from Tolstoy, and his talk about how about compassion, and how if we weren't able to feel compassion for everyone else, if we weren't able to understand and other people, then we wouldn't be able to feel compassion and towards them as well. So still think about that argument, but that's the main thing I want to just like throw at people, at you guys today, is just about the inner world theory, and how free will and determinism might be coexist together as more like fluctuating equilibrium rather than a balance scale of, oh, we have this much free will and this much determinism, or we have this much determinism and this much free will. From a lot of my experiences from life, it's more of just like that equilibrium of free will and determinism always being in flux with each other, just based on that inner worlds theory. But if you have a different theory, if you want to argue it, and please argue in the comments and section below. And remember the Serval. If you get angry about my comments, or if you get too heated, please remember the Serval, because it really shows you how silly and absurd life is, and how we can't take life too seriously, because it's way too short for us to. At least for me, it is. Oh, I also put a countdown onto my death as well, and I've put it onto my computer as well. I have 11,167 days until 58, and I picked 58 because Alan Watts died at 58 as well. So yeah, it does put a little bit of perspective on what's important in life. And for me, it is that play and love of interacting with the world. And not being too serious about it, right? That's why I love Alan Watts so much, just because it's just so silly. It's like, whoa. Anyways, that's probably my cue. Hit 20 minutes. Probably my cue to get out of here, but I hope you guys have a great rest of your night, all right? See y'all later.